Hi there, and welcome to the CyberHut TV vendor introduction series, where I get to interview experts from our global identity security community. And I'm absolutely privileged and honored to have Abhinav from Breez Security with me. Welcome.
Thank you, Simon. Thanks for having me.
Not at all. It's super. It's a great job I have just interviewing and speaking with experts and founders passionate in our global space. So I'm totally appreciative of taking some time out. And for those people who have not seen one of these episodes before, I essentially get to ask the three same questions to each of our vendors to understand a little bit more about their history, their mission, their vision, and their passion about how they are solving some of today's major problems. And the first question I always start off with, very simple one really, I guess, is what is the problem that Breez Security are looking to solve?
Yeah, sure. Once again for having me. It's really exciting to speak to your audience and to you as well. Yeah, so look, Simon, identity has become the primary attack surface. In recent years, the percentage of breaches involving identity compromise has skyrocketed. If you look at the latest DBI report, 75% of breaches now include some form of identity compromise. And these attacks are targeting both human and non-human identities. Yet, despite the growing threat, the industry has been very slow to respond. We have seen the rise of CSPM, CNAP platforms, which, as you know, at their core are still resource and workload focused, not identity focused at all. Breez is changing that. We are tackling the identity security problem holistically by building our platform from the ground up with identity as a first-class citizen. So Breez is the first and only security platform that combines real-time behavioral identity telemetry and analytics with agentic AI to detect attacks and accelerate investigation across your cloud and SaaS applications. As you know, security teams are only equipped with resource and workload-centric detections and investigations tools. What they are lacking is an identity-centric view of their cloud and SaaS. Traditionally, identity has been statically used in the context of authentication, authorization, GRC, and compliance. But it is time to change that. It is time to start using identity dynamically at runtime to secure our cloud and SaaS, and providing basic detection, investigation, response capabilities, all using identity context. So what does it mean? It means that not only looking what you have, looking into what you are doing, what you did today, what you did yesterday, what happened when some incident happened. Look, identity security problem won't be solved by patching outdated platforms with few new features, right? It will be only solved by a platform that is built from the ground up with identity at its core. And that is exactly why I founded Breez.
I love that. I love this. There's so many good points to unpick in this. I love this focus on the identity attack surface. I absolutely agree. I think if you look back the last 3, 4, 6 years, pretty much every big data breach, every incident response, every real external attack somewhere has identity at its core. And even if you look at things like the MITRE attack framework, there's everything in there from credential theft, initial credential access, privilege escalation, privilege misuse. All of this is foundational on identity. And I think, unfortunately, identity has numerous vulnerabilities, how it's been designed historically. You mentioned things like that holistic end-to-end view of what's happening, which I think, in honesty, most identity sort of deployments and projects, they haven't thought about the visibility. It's often isolated pockets of technology. And I think the other thing which I jotted down was the real-time sort of analysis and view of what's happening. So not just permissions and access, but actually what is Simon doing right now in the system? Should he be doing it? Is that normal, etc.? So I think there's definitely some really interesting things there. And I guess that sort of segues nicely into the sort of next question. Really, is why is this becoming a problem now? Is it just the bad guys are getting better? That they are using automated attacks, initial access brokers, probably because the identity landscape, unfortunately, does have a lot of vulnerabilities in there. So is it sort of a perfect storm? Do you think that identity is now an attack surface?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, there are a few reasons, and some of them, what you mentioned as well, is that look, identity security problem has been exacerbated by several key trends in technology. And just using your word, what you said, that is like they have created the perfect storm, right? For attackers to focus on identity, and that is fueling the growth in the identity-centric attacks. And the first is, as you know, that the shift to cloud and SaaS has completely erased the concept of a traditional perimeter. For years, we have heard that identity is the new perimeter, yet companies continue to rely on posture management tools that treat cloud and SaaS as if they're still part of a defined perimeter. And these tools treat identity as a secondary concern. And second, the proliferation of identities, right? You and I both know that companies now have more human users than ever accessing cloud and SaaS environments.
Yeah.
But the real issues lies in the exponential growth of non-human identities. Your service accounts, bots, keys, workloads, tokens. And managing all these identities has become a massive challenge for IT and security teams. And finally, last but not least, the existing identity products, mainly IAM and PAM technologies, right, have primarily focused on preventing identity compromises. While this has made it harder for attackers to breach identities directly, for sure, it has also made privileged credentials more valuable. Authenticated and privileged credentials have now become the primary attack target for attackers. And if you compare identity security with a traditional security, remember, to secure an enterprise, you need both firewalls and intrusion detection systems, right? Prevention and detection, you need to find a fine balance. In the same way, identity security requires not only preventive solutions, but also robust detection, investigation, and response capabilities when those prevention fails.
Yeah, I think that's really fascinating. Clearly, as identity has, I guess, become more important, and by that I mean it enables organizations to be productive, share more, do more. But there are more identity types. Even within staff, you have contractors, you have joint ventures, partnerships. Then you have customers, consumers, citizens, and then obviously you have workloads, services. We're doing a bit of research recently on sort of AI agents, which 2 years ago wasn't really a thing. Suddenly, generative AI is everywhere. You have agents representing the AI technology. Are they being managed effectively from an authentication, authorization perspective? Probably not. And I think the bad guys, they can instantly, they do think about identities. They don't think about resources and objects. And I think that's a real difference as well. So I think we do have this perfect storm of identity being an attack vector. But I guess ultimately, how did Breez fit into this model? What's your, I guess, secret sauce, if like, how are you guys best placed to tackle some of these problems?
Yeah, that's a great question. So yes, Breez is in a unique position to tackle the identity security problem because, as I said, we are building the first and only comprehensive identity threat detection, investigation, and response platform from the ground up. We are not simply layering features onto legacy security tools. Instead, we have architected our platform with identity at the core of everything we do. An easy way to see our differentiation, and we use internally a lot, Breez starts where our IDP stops. And what does it mean? It means that the core of our platform is real-time behavioral telemetry and analytics. We ingest your log from cloud and SaaS providers and turn them into identity telemetry, tracking every action back to human or non-human identity behind it. And as you can imagine, that this creates a foundation to build behavioral patterns. And then deviations are surfaced automatically, enabling faster detection of identity-based threats like credential compromise, insider threats, privilege escalation, and lateral movement. As you mentioned, AI, right? Our platform is powered by agentic AI, which again leverages our identity telemetry that we generate, along with advanced AI models to deliver actionable insights and automated investigations. Breez AI is called AIR, that analyzes identity behaviors, correlates anomalies with roles and permissions, flags suspicious activities, and provides context-rich report, making it easier for people to focus on what truly matters. And this saves security teams so much time from manual analysis, and also offer guided remediation or recommendation for next steps, making them to respond to alerts very quickly and effectively. I mean, look, Simon, your audience is highly knowledgeable about identity security, right? And they can quickly recognize our value proposition and how Breez is different. Breez combines granular behavioral telemetry with AI-driven intelligence to form the foundation of our platform. And that uniquely positions us as the trusted identity security platform for both enterprises and SMBs around the world.
Love that. No, it's clear. I think, as you say, the last few years we have seen the rise in attacks. I think the sort of isolated nature of certain sort of hardening mechanisms are a good start. But I think having that overlay, that end-to-end holistic view of what's going on, and then being able to look at investigations, being able to respond in a much more surgical and focused way, I think is really important. I think leveraging AI in a way which it is sort of co-piloting, it is assisting, it's helping, it's accelerating how defenders can respond to some of this stuff, I think is really important. And I do like as well this, being ID centric, being this overlay approach, instead of saying, right, well, the identity providers, it hardens the sessions or implements the MFA, which is sort of good stuff, but there's a whole host of other things to consider. The sort of line parties, the SaaS apps, the activity within those systems as well, not to mention, of course, NHI and workloads, which seems to be on the uptake as well. So I think it's a fascinating approach. I think there's a huge amount of value in looking at this end-to-end piece, which I think is it's really, really appropriate. I thank you for spending a few minutes with me today, just to understand a little bit more about what you guys are doing. It sounds like you're making some pretty big headways with sort of that instant response, automated response aspect, which I think is pretty powerful as well. So thank you for taking a bit of time out to tell us a little bit about Breez Security. This has been another episode in our vendor introduction series brought to you by the Cyberhut. Until next time, thank you for watching.
Thank you, Simon, for having us. It was great chatting with you. Thank you.
Thanks.